picking up good vibrations.
Hi everybody, Alex Deploy here from Expert Forex, and in this video I'm going to show you how I manage and trade 200 robots while on a long holiday, and that is without a VPS. Now the picture you see here is a picture that I took on a 9-week-long holiday recently, and during that holiday I had 200 robots trading. So this video is the third in a series, and you need to have a look at these previous videos to get an overall feel about what I'm talking about here. But in the first video I gave traders a view of trading 7 computers at the same time with about 28 to 30 platforms on them, and in the picture you can see parts of those computers with the screen showing all of the platforms that are open that are being traded. And that room is in our house in an area that I call our dungeon. In the second video I gave instructions on how to actually create a portfolio of many platforms. So in this video I showed you how to create those platforms and how to manage them. So after making these videos, I received this post in our paid premium forum, and that has basically motivated this particular video that I'm doing right now. So let's have a look at the post, and I'll just read it out. With the need to leave our desktops running for 24/5, doing weekend computer maintenance is important. You have a dungeon full of servers, well, it's computers, etc. So whatever you do, I'm sure will suffice for my one computer. I know you like keeping things simple and effective and would have tried a lot of different products over the years. So my query is whether you pay for any products like antivirus, etc. Or do you just use the inbuilt Windows functions? I've heard you mention before that you use CC Cleaner. Windows updates would have to be turned off until the weekend to avoid any restarts. Would it be possible for a quick rundown of your weekend ritual? It would be good to hear from other traders too. So essentially what the trader is asking is, how do you manage this portfolio and the servers that you are using to be able to actually go on holiday for a long period and let them run on a continuous basis. So let's have a look at that. So here is my answer to that question, and I've just listed the answer in point form, and I'm going to work through the points that I've raised here with a little bit more detail. So the first point I made here was, please bear in mind that I leave my servers or computers actually unattended for up to 10 or 12 weeks, and they generally run for 24/7 anyway. So the question was about weekend rituals. I'm basically saying I only do weekend rituals on an ad hoc basis, and sometimes my computers run for weeks without me switching them off. Then the second point I make is I have someone who can come in and restart the computers and get them going if there's an extended power cut of more than a few hours when I'm away. Now this has never happened. I've never had to rely on that person, and you'll see later on we'll talk about some of the software that I use. Some of the software actually has the ability to restart a computer that is switched off. Then the next point I make is I use UPS facilities, uninterrupted power supply facilities. And in the beginning I only did that for the computers, but I soon realized that you also need to do them for the screens, because it's pointless that your computer is still running but you cannot see what's happening on that particular computer. So I've set up a whole series of UPS facilities, and they basically just give you enough time to do a controlled close down of your computers. They do not provide the ongoing power that is needed. I do have a generator, but I don't actually use that generator. Luckily I am in an area with quite good power supply and very few cuts. So I basically have 17 devices in the dungeon that will continue automatically should there be a power cut. So the 17 devices are essentially the 7 computers, the 7 screens, and then some internet hubs and things like that will continue running should there be a power break. Now, not listed here is the fact that I do use cable internet facilities, but I also have a wireless network backup should the internet go down. Okay, so the next point here is because these servers are used for MetaTrader only, and that's all they're used for. I've got MetaTrader, I've got a browser to upload the robots, and that's about all that I need. I try and keep these computers as simple as possible. So because they're very simple, it reduces the ongoing risk. I'm not browsing on the internet all the time, or I'm not opening emails and things like that. But I do use Norton's, which has a facility or a package where you can actually have 20 Norton's installations, and it's reasonably priced, and so I do have Norton's running on these servers, not so much for protection, but Norton's also includes a backup function that will automatically back the computers up on a regular basis. So there's a two-prong approach to using Norton's. It's mainly the backup that I like, not so much the protection, because the protection is very basic. I don't expose myself to internet threats that much. Then the next point is I use the standard disk cleanup program on Windows to clean unwanted files off the computers. I used to use CC Cleaner, but it's an overkill. The next point is when I go away, and even while I'm here, I switch all updates off. So when I'm away, I switch all the window updates up, or anything that can disrupt the computer and require a reboot. And I even do that while I'm here. I don't go for updates on a regular basis. I do them once a month on a particular day. And so that is very controllable. So I'll just show you a bit about that. Okay, so I've dialed into one of my computers, and here's an example of all the profiles that are being traded on this particular computer. So the disk cleanup software is located here. There you can see, you can just go and search in your computer for disk cleanup, and what I do is I just run that occasionally. It will tell me how many unnecessary files there are, and what I do is I just delete those files. So that's disk cleanup. And then when it comes to Windows updates, I go into my settings, and I go into the update section, and as you can see, I've already paused updates until the new year. There it is. And how you do that, you go into that section and you actually tell it when you want to update to. So it will give you a lot of options there. And as you can see, I've gone for that option over there. Depending on what version of Windows you use, that option is always available. And now I don't need to worry about updates until the 5th of January. Another piece of software that I use quite a lot is the Task Manager, and I'll go in there. There's the Task Manager. Click on that, and what I do is I just look if the CPU is under stress, and you can see this CPU is under 40%, which is a nice level to be. Don't want it to be too much over 60. So this CPU is very nicely under control, and my memory usage is also under control. So Task Manager is one of the things I keep my eye on occasionally, but I have set these computers up to not use much CPU or memory. The other bit of software that's quite handy is the core temperature software. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to open it up, and it opens up. It's free. This is free software, and what it basically does, as you can see, there are 4 cores that are on this particular computer, and you can see the load is nicely evenly distributed between the cores, and you can see the temperatures are nicely under control. There we are, 54 maximum, 47 maximum. I think this can go up to about 70 or 80% before it becomes a problem. So core temperature is something I do monitor. Luckily, my room is quite cool. I do have a fan in it. If it is a particularly hot day, I will run the fan to just keep air circulating in that particular room. And so this is another software that I use to monitor the health of my computers. I have mentioned Norton's. So let's go back to the answer I gave to the question asked in the forum. Okay, so the next point I make is I use AnyDesk. It's a remote access software to access all servers remotely. And I even do that while I'm at home. I can access all the servers or computers in the dungeon from my office, my normal office. So and I prefer doing that. The dungeon is a bit dark and dingy. So AnyDesk is by far the best one that I have used. I've used a couple of others before, but AnyDesk is by far the best one. I am using the paid version of AnyDesk because I'm using so many servers and I'm using it so often. But there is a free version if you want to use it on a selected basis, and you can use it for private use, the particular free version. AnyDesk also has the ability to restart a computer that has closed down, so that's another reason why I like AnyDesk. All right, so the next point is very important. When you have set up your MetaTrader platforms and they are running, do a controlled close down of the platform and the computer and restart the computer and platforms. This creates a MetaTrader restore point if there were to be an uncontrolled close down due to a long power failure. Very important. I've learned this over the years. This is one of the ways of making sure that the MetaTrader platform restores correctly. If you don't do that, you will find MetaTrader forgets things like the account number even, or the settings of your EA, or the status of your EA when the power failure happened. And I'll just show you that. Okay, so I'm back to one of my servers, and here I have 4 accounts that I'm going to use to illustrate this close down that I mean. And all it really is, all you have to do is just close your platform. So I'm going to do that. I close them, close them, close them, close them. Now they were trading live and all that type of thing. And then I have icons for all of the platforms, as you can see over here, and all I then do is I click on the icons and restate them. So that is what I call a controlled close down of the platforms. And there you can see they have reopened exactly as they were before, but now the MT4 platform remembers where it was and remembers the settings. So if there's an uncontrolled closure like a power failure, then the MetaTrader will come back to this particular time and these particular settings. What sometimes happens with power failures is you can see that I've named every single profile so that I know what the profile does. Sometimes you'll find that it slips back to default, which is very dangerous because now you don't have your EA trading anymore. So that's one of the things that happen during a power failure, and that's what you need to watch out for. So that's another reason why I name my profiles, so that I can see if they are the correct profiles. If I see a default there, then I know I need to go in and load the profile that has the... Now the other thing that I need to show you is that on all of my accounts I have the FX Blue publication EA and it tells me that the publication is successful and it's been done recently. And that is the way I manage my platforms, by them being linked to FX Blue. And I'll show you that next. Now, this method of creating a portfolio was shown in one of the previous videos that I've mentioned in this video, and why I like that is that I can immediately see that all of the EAs, or all of the platforms rather, are updating regularly with at least less than 4 minutes all the time. That gives me the confidence that the platform is actually trading on a live basis. So I can control that from looking at the FX Blue platforms. And I check these regularly, about twice a day, in the mornings and then in the evenings, just to make sure that they are running. If they are not running, I dial into the server and have a look at what the problem is, and it's very easy. Normally it's just a refresh of that particular EA and it will work again. Okay, so let's get back to my response to the question that was asked. And then the next point, in fact, is exactly that. Make sure that you've linked all your platforms to FX Blue, and to make sure that they are actively trading. Check this twice a day. So that was that point. Then make sure all platforms have auto trading set for on. Sometimes it's possible to set up a whole range of platforms, and for some reason they slip into off mode, and then you have to check whether they are. Now, that you don't need to do that all the time. Normally, if you set them up correctly, they will stay on. It's only if once you've rebooted or changed something in the actual platform, just double check that your auto trading is on. Then, as we've seen previously, make sure that every platform has an icon, because those icons are very important. As you've seen, I just needed to click on those icons to reinstate the platforms when they are off or down, or when they've been closed down on a controlled or even on a non-controlled basis. Then I think the other point that's important is that most robots use swing trading techniques. In other words, they trade slowly over time. So the point is, don't worry if things go wrong. If your platform, your server goes down, the computer goes down, all that type of thing, don't worry that you have to get them up immediately. Obviously, you should try, but it's not the end of the world if you go to sleep at one night and you wake up in the morning and you see that your computer hasn't traded for 5 or 6 hours. Not the end of the world. There's a 50-50 chance that that is in your favor, and you just get it trading, get it up and running again, and it will automatically remember where it was, especially if you've done a controlled close down, and it will just continue trading from there. But don't break into a sweat or worry that you're going to lose millions of dollars and things like that. Those kind of things do happen. Now, I hope this video has given you some ideas on how I manage my portfolio or my collection of computers that trade these 200 robots on a continuous basis over long periods of time, while I'm away and while I'm actually in my office. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them in the comments facility of this YouTube video, or in the paid premium forum, where I can expand on things a lot more. So from me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.